Hi again, this is Annmaree doing the ABC series for Holistic Health. Thanks for watching. So today's letter is on the letter N, and in association with body, mind and emotions within the model Be Aware Holistic Healthcare. So the letter N for body, I'm going to call out the nervous system. Nervous system is one of the systems of the body. However, it's a very important system because, as you can see with pretty much all of them, it's complex. However, this one tells all the other systems basically, or instructs them to perform different functions, and it's quite complex. In the aspect of psychology, which is body, mind and behavior, there's an area of it called biological psychology. In the crux of it, it's actually discussing how the nervous system works. So I've made this schematic. This is my own schematic. And for anyone out there that is interested in having schematics made for their information, I'm really keen to do it as a business as well. So just putting it out there. But in this case, with the nervous system, you've got lots of different areas that start with our main area of the nervous system, which is it's divided into two main areas, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system here is the one that's directly associated with the stress response, which is where you get your more relaxation responses, generally speaking, and your more excitatory or your stimulated responses with your sympathetic. Nervous system is very important in holistic health because with all the other systems, and it depends on what textbook you read. I mean, having studied health and the health sciences and health care for well and truly over 35 years, the books have changed, even with the structures. They're learning more about different structures. They're discovering different molecules. And so it does change. However, overall, the nervous system's basic levels are that it sends rapid electro messages via different chemicals or excitatory electrical responses. So these areas here are that's all part of the brain. And then you break up this particular box in the schematic, which is to do with a lot of the hormones that are released or the chemicals released. You've got specific areas associated with speech. And then you've got just a rundown of particular neurons or glias that are called in the nervous system itself, the central nervous system within the brain. And then you've got a model of it's just a generic, I guess you'd call it, nerve that has the basis or the body with the nucleus, and then it sends messages across, and that can be what they call myelinated or covered with a protective mechanism and insulation that assists also with the messages traveling across quicker. And then you've got the little filaments or protrusions coming off that assist with sending the message to the next cell and whatever it is. And so in holistic health, the concept here with the nervous system is that when your nervous system is balanced and functioning well, then your other systems have the potential to function well. You know, you go to a cardiologist, you go to an endocrinologist for various reasons such as diabetes, etc. However, they're fine. That system's fine. However, that system's still going to be getting messages sent to it for performance from the nervous system in some form or way. And if I go back to this particular area here, the part of the peripheral system, the autonomic nervous system, this system here plays a huge part in responding to the rest of the system because it's associated with the stress response, or what used to be called the general adaptive tongue-tied, syndrome, or GAS. So now more commonly called the stress response. So that's where your body responds to things like stress, which I'll go into detail in another video, because stress physiology was one of my majors in my master's degree. Academically, I know it really well as practically wise, being a yogini or a person that practices yoga for over 4 decades. I'm very aware of how the stress responses to practicality, to managing it well. So the point of this is that noting your health, thinking about holistic health, you've got to take into account the main, in old terms, we used to call it like the boss of everything else, because it tells it what to do, and particularly the brain. And the brain itself is such a interesting organ, because it's one of the last ones to fully develop in our body. Our brain's not fully developed until we're about 25. There are areas in it that have fully developed, like the reticulum formation activating system in the brain. However, that occurs around 5, like I said. However, 25 is when it's fully developed. So, you know, understanding the teenage years when people are experimenting, it's really important to sort out that early, because, you know, carry it on for too long, and by the time you get to your early 20s, mid-20s, your brain's pretty well had a little bit of excessive destruction along the way. So the joy of that is that, you know, if you are aware of this, then you can be aware that we need to look after our brains. I mean, sadly, brain cancer is the biggest killer for children. Why? Why aren't we researching this? It's fascinating. Okay, so nervous system, extremely important. Now, for the letter N, for the mind, I am going to carry this through and have you understand that with something that's associated with holistic health, that will care for the mind, and that's including the pathways and what I call in my model the highways, the network of highways associated with mind messaging, which is your thoughts, on a molecular level, is and that will help, is your nutrition. Now, I have talked about nutrition in a little bit of detail with the diet, and when I say little, it's very small. However, understanding now that your mind is very influenced with what you eat. And you'll sort of get that impression when you think about it, when you're lethargic after you have something that's quite malnourished in its formation, such as a really highly processed burger, or you know, just plain hot chips. When you eat them, there's a tendency to have a lag of energy, or a lethargic episode afterwards, because all you've done is really given yourself high processed carbs. And again, I'm not anti anything, so that can be useful. However, then you also would have to have some highly nutritional substances, like lots of fresh leafy veggies, salads, etc., and some complex grains, lentils, poultice, whatever, that'll give your body sustainable energy as well. And if you eat meat, then some really healthy, fresh, preferably naturally fed animal. And that will give you more sustainable energy, because that's what also produces the, particularly protein in the body is very well needed for your neurological pathways and your chemicals, like your neurotransmitters, as well as a bit of fat, because fat is essential fatty acids are particularly well known to be important for the brain, and therefore how we think. babies' formulas have essential fatty acids in it, besides other beautiful components. So how we are eating and what we are supplying in our nutritional molecular perspective in our body will affect our nervous system and how we think, and therefore it plays a part in our mental health. Even the aspects of, we know with vitamins, vitamin B in particular, which has been added, certain vitamin Bs have been added to foods because they know, unfortunately, when they stripped the grain of the outer husk, which had wonderful sources of vitamin B in it, and produced the white flour and etc., and the white grains, the stripped grains without their husk, they possibly, I don't know, but they have taken away a lot of the vitamin Bs. So what do? They add the Bs again, synthetic Bs to, or however they get them, to their foods. So it's sort of like, taking something out. Oh yes, better put it back in. So we put it back in. So we know certain nutrients are important for the mind, in the sense of that it is a highway for our mental pathway, our thoughts to be projected and expressed in our being. Holistically looking at those is very, very important. Now, the other N that's associated with this holistic model for the emotions is the emotion, if we want to call it, it's a type of behavior, and we do feel something when we are nice to people, and we definitely, even if we're not consciously aware of it, there's an element if we are nasty to people. So the letter N for emotions I'm going to discuss briefly today is nice and nasty. So, what is nice? Nice generally is when you are allowing yourself to be expressive in your truth, and if the other person takes offense, then you're aware of that and you can choose to express more that that's not exactly how you intended it to be. If you are coming from a nice space, a cozy space of comfort. However, if you are nasty, you just say something in whatever form that you're saying it. Not only in your truth in that moment, because everyone's truth is what they speak in that moment. In the broader perspective, if you care, if you want to do open communication, where the other person is also part of the communication, not being dictated to, then you also don't disregard how they feel and you don't care. And that's really basically the essence, in my opinion, I guess. As I learn more in the 56 or whatever years I've been on the planet, I learned that there's nice and there's nasty, and they will both affect how you feel. And if you are consciously aware of what you're doing, then you will feel something that's based on how that is. So again, it's your choice. If you're speaking your truth, which is what we all are entitled to do, if we are allowed to speak our voice, then we are allowed to say how we feel, and then whoever it is to, we also understand that they're going to feel that. Now, that doesn't mean we have to say what we expect them to hear. You've got to be true to yourself. Authenticity is one of my driving sources. I think I mentioned in the letter A, to be authentic, to be true to you, because you are more vast than the universe you bathe in. And that is so important to remember. Very powerful. So nice, nasty, and just be yourself. Be who you are. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, then change. So nervous system for body, nutrition for mind, and nice. Or just be aware of whether you are being of complimentary to others and honouring your own self at the same time. So thanks again for watching. Namaste, which means I understand the God within you, hopefully you with me, and love always. Thanks for watching.